everyone, welcome to the Unconventional Intentional Homemaking podcast. My name's Issa and this is my wife Blaise. And today we are going to talk about how we simplified our life by using routines and possibly, hopefully, help you learn how you can simplify yours too. We're going to be useful.
A simplified life is definitely a good life.
Yes, I enjoy a simpler life.
I have definitely been enjoying our life.
Yeah.
So routines. This is a thing that we have now installed. They were not always a thing.
They were not. Despite you being a very routined person, routines were not actually a big part of our life. I think we actually thought that they were, but it wasn't until we actually routined things that we realised.
Yeah, I more had a lot of rituals.
You did have a lot of rituals.
A lot of things that I did without the intention, without the thought behind them.
Yeah, and when we first got together, we did a lot of, I go, okay, this is how she does stuff. We'll just do that then.
Yes, there was an awful lot of you just doing things the way I do things, because that's how I do things.
And it was just easier.
And I am an immovable object when it comes to my routines.
To the point where I had to learn to allow an extra 10 minutes, like leaving a restaurant or leaving anywhere, because there's a set ritual in which you do stuff. And it takes a considerable amount of time.
Are we describing my faffing as routine and rituals?
No, I'm describing it as a ritual that you must complete.
So there's always an order of things, because I'm neurodivergent. I have autism, so like to be comfortable having a shift of environment, a shift of situation. Then I guess I have.
You have a whole lot of rituals to go through.
A bunch of rituals to go through. I have to have my hat and my sunglasses and potentially music and like the right coat and we've integrated a lot of that into our routines. We have, without really much thinking,
but I can remember it really clearly. We had sushi, which is, typical for us. We'd gone for a sushi with friends, and I was stood outside with a friend and you were inside doing your ritual, and I hadn't even noticed or thought about it. I was just waiting patiently because I'm a good wife. And he just looked at me and said, "Is she all right? Do we need to go and help her or anything?" And I looked at him like he was completely insane. I was like, "What do you mean? This is what she does." It takes 10 minutes to leave anywhere.
I mean, let's be fair, you have your routines too.
I do.
There are certain things that I account for when we're leaving a place as well.
Yeah.
So we've both got our little quirks
and foibles.
That.
But I guess the point is that we felt like we were routined because we did a lot of the same things consistently, but we hadn't put any thought into it. They weren't really serving us other than we were used to them.
I would say that my routines served me very well, thank you. But no, there was no intention behind them other than this is a thing that I do to meet this immediate need.
Yeah.
And they're just stuff that I did. I didn't stop and think, is there a better way of doing it?
Yeah.
And also, like when we first got together, I didn't have my autism diagnosis. So like a lot of my coping strategies were just Blaise quirks that Blaise does. And you were just really accommodating with that without really considering. So we didn't really have routines, particularly homemaking routines.
We certainly didn't have homemaking routines.
Yeah. And
we just did stuff occasionally.
We did stuff as it was needed to be done. And then a lot of stuff got missed, and then we would get overwhelmed, and then that was a whole thing.
I mean, also our life looked very different than it does now, and we wouldn't have had time for the routines that we currently have.
No, so the routines are currently built around our current lifestyle,
which is that we're very much homebodies. We spend a lot of time at home, and we love doing so. So that's where our routines are. Before, I guess your rituals, they were routines. But they were routines because we had a much more sociable life. We were out more than we were in. We came home to sleep.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And we ate out a lot.
We ate out,
had a lot of takeout and things. So I guess we didn't feel the need to have as many routines.
No.
It wasn't until we discovered Fly Lady that we realised routines were even a thing.
Well, no, I knew Fly Lady existed because I'd already tried it and failed multiple times. I guess it was actually pandemic was then where our big shift came, I mean, as it came for everybody, that we spent a lot more time at home than we were used to. And with that then came actually, are we happy in our home? Do we want our environment to be better? And then came the realisation of how on earth do we achieve the house that we're saying that we want? And then, because I am not actually very good at homemaking in reality, so it boiled down to, we need to come up with a set of things that works so that you're comfortable and know what routines are in place. I'm comfortable in that I know what I need to be doing when and why. And we found Fly Lady, and she solved all of our problems.
Initially. So yeah, I guess it was that, yeah, we didn't do meal plans, we didn't do cleaning routines. Like there was very little structure in our homemaking.
We existed in our home, we didn't make it.
Yeah, and that actually didn't work for me very well.
No.
It was surprisingly stressful. And yeah, from when I think back to that time, it was oppressive and stressful and always rushing, always firefighting. Like, and then...
Yeah, we were never on top of stuff.
Yeah.
There was always a pile of things that we knew we needed to do.
Which then meant that I couldn't stop and relax because I couldn't relax without feeling guilty. And then that compounded the issue because I would then be too tired to do the issue, to solve
the thing, and then we were stressed. And then you talk about it all the time, which is one of my stress triggers. If a to-do list is constantly talked about, I get really, really stressed and overwhelmed. So then basically we ended up in a complete mess and nobody could do anything.
No. Yes, I'm very verbal with my stress.
You are. I'm not. I'm very internalised with stress.
I guess, yeah, then once we appreciated that being a homemaker isn't something that generally just, well, for us, how it works best for us is it doesn't just happen.
I mean, I can't speak for other people, but from our perspective, you don't just wake up one morning knowing precisely what needs doing when, or being good at it, or knowing...
I think you might do if you've got a brain that can handle all of that, but that's a lot of things to keep in your head.
Well, yeah, we're now talking
all
about
times.
executive dysfunction a little bit, is that for some people, all of these tasks actually aren't easy, and for us, tasks that should seem easy generally aren't. Like, we will do things that other people find intensely difficult with no problems. That's where our skill sets lies. But ask us to keep on top of our home while working, and we just couldn't cope.
No. I mean, yeah, literally didn't cope.
No.
And
which is how we ended up where we are, is that we realised we weren't coping.
So yeah, how did we start? Was it just a decision to watch some YouTube channels on different routines and try some?
I work out if YouTube came first or the routines came first.
Well, surely it would have been the interest in, and then like the way my thought pattern works is I identify an interest, I research the
crap out of it.
Just so much research. So that would have been the YouTube channels and seeing what's out there, and then a plan, and then a review of the plan, and then...
Except I don't think this is how this happened. That's not how this happened at all.
That's how my thought process on new things normally happen. What did we do?
You actually didn't have very much involvement in it. Like, we had a very slow process between me ending up not working. Like, I quit my job, I started a business, that was going quite well. Blaise got a couple of promotions. I scaled back my work to support her. She then needed more promotions, so I scaled back even more. And then eventually we got to the point where I don't work, I don't earn money.
And
you have multiple promotions.
And I've had more promotions.
Yes. But we recognised that for us, we couldn't do both simultaneously. So what happened was, as soon as I realised, okay, this is my role, like, bearing in mind I had this, I don't want to say trauma because that's not quite it, but we talked about in previous podcasts my experiences with being married before and my expectations of myself, because I come from a background of a high demand religion with a lot of gender expectations on roles and things. So as soon as I realised I wasn't working and I had this previous issue where I had felt like I'd failed as a housewife in the past, that I knew I needed some sort of structure. I needed help, basically. So I went to what I knew, which was, I've tried Fly Lady when I was much younger, when I was with my ex-husband. It didn't work then, but maybe it'll work this time. So that's how I started.
Just to assure you, you are a very, very good wife. I could not ask for a better wife. You are definitely wifing very well.
Thanks, I'm a good wife.
You are a good wife.
I wasn't though. I don't think you'd have liked being my wife 20 years ago.
I guess we'll never know.
No.
What's important is that we're the right people for each other now.
Yeah.
And so you were such a different person and Fly Lady didn't work then.
Didn't work then.
So,
but also I didn't have the time for it then.
So
I was working full time.
Yeah, so I think that key thing is like when looking at routines and the many, many, many options out there of different methodologies and stuff, it's finding the one that's right for you. And at the time, Fly Lady was not the right one for you then.
No, but it was the only one I could find at the time, because we're talking too many years ago.
Too many years ago to admit to that.
About 15, 20 years ago, at that point, there wasn't the amount of YouTube channels there are now. Well, YouTube didn't even exist. Never mind the.
Well, that's the big thing. If YouTube didn't exist, how did you find anything out?
Yeah.
Like, if we have a question now, we go to YouTube.
We do.
If YouTube doesn't have the answer, I go and ask my AI digital assistant.
So I googled it, like way back then. I googled it, and the answer that came back was Fly Lady, but it didn't work. But this time I knew that this thing existed. I knew it was tough, and I knew that I found it very difficult. So what I actually did is I set myself a challenge that I would make a video on it, which then ensured that I had to do it.
Oh, accountability.
It was accountability that did it.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And it wasn't until after that you got involved and started researching.
As much as we would like to say that we make this YouTube channel and these podcasts and these things to help other people, actually we make them for accountability for ourselves.
Yeah, there is no more accountability than having a YouTube channel where you invite people to look at your home on a weekly basis. Things suddenly become a whole lot tidier.
I tried to think what the house would happen if we gave up YouTubing.
Don't know.
Let's not find out.
It's a really good motivator having to make videos on it, because I have the type of brain that needs a purpose, it needs a fixation. So doing YouTube videos really helps.
So for us, YouTube is very much that accountability. It keeps us on track. But there's other ways like body doubling with other people, holding friends' account.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually recommend YouTube as an option for people. It makes life much harder. Cleaning is not easier with a camera and a tripod and 2 lights, I can assure you.
No, I think it takes about 3 times as long.
It does take 3 times as long. It is worthwhile and I really love doing it, but yeah, it's not easier.
I mean, I guess like as part of that routines and rituals with the YouTubing, like how much does recording it and knowing that you have a content schedule impact the routines that we do?
Yeah, I would say quite significantly for us. It would actually be, we won't do it, I highly doubt, but it would be really interesting to see what our routines would look like without YouTube, because they're such a big part of them. I structure my cleaning a lot around what my programming schedule is, effectively.
You plan your routines around our careers, because YouTube is your career. And other people would have to do the same. You'd have to find the right routine that works around your lifestyle and around the other things that you do. Like, if you've got kids, you would have to plan your routine around when the kids are...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then during the school holidays, how would that be impacted by it? How would that change?
Oh, I imagine that would be huge. Like, YouTube's our baby. Like that and the pets are our biggest consideration for external factors, really. So that's where we plan our life around. Other people have very much different responsibilities and much harder responsibilities than we have.
You also plan the cleaning routine around my job.
I do.
Because there's when I'm home, working from home versus when I'm in the office, makes a difference to like when you can vacuum. So that's another thing, like I guess it's taking all of these factors into account when coming up with what routine is best for you.
Yeah. Yes. So for us now, we actually have quite a lot of routine. Do we have an abnormal amount of routines?
I have autism. Yes.
I guess that's one of the definitions.
One of the definitions is repetitive behaviours.
Okay, but that's not what I meant. What I meant was like homemaking routines. Like we have a morning routine, we have an afternoon routine, we have a nighttime routine. I have a weekly cleaning schedule, I have a monthly cleaning schedule. That when you actually start to list it out, that feels like a lot, and then that's not even taking into account the other things like grocery shopping, running errands, mending stuff, whatever else requires decorating. All those things that are part of homemaking, everything's kind of got a routine and a rhythm to it now.
Yeah, which I really value. Like, and we actually had to consider both of our needs. So me with autism, you with highly suspected ADHD. So for you, it's you need change. You need to feel free and to be able to have novel things.
Well, it's also that, yeah, if I wake up and I do not have it in me to clean, then there's no point trying to force myself. It won't work. I need to shift it to a different day.
Yeah.
Whereas you will get up, and if that's what your routine says,
that's
you will
what
do
I will
it.
be doing.
Yeah.
Because if I don't stick to that, that will be worse for me later. But what I'm saying is that within my expectation of our routines, I have factored in change.
And flexibility.
So we're making the routines and the expectations work for the household, not just whoever is whoever is lead homemaker.
Yeah, so yeah, we factor it all around.
So you really focus on the routine and the structure, and I focus on knowing that that's going to change, and things like we change the decor in the living room every 3 months as part of that routine, same but different. And that scratches your itch and scratches my itch.
Yeah.
And that's important to both of us.
So yeah, we have factored those sorts of routines in as well, just to make sure that we are both comfortable in our own spaces. Like we both have to exist here. We are very similar, but at the same time very, very different. And we have different needs from our home. And we found a way that we could routine that in so it works for both of us. Going back to our routines, like we have our morning routine, which is things like walk the dog, make sure everybody's fed, happy, empty the dishwasher. It's basically doing all of those things that make life easier for the rest of the day.
And what's interesting is how the routines blend as well.
Yeah, one doesn't work without doing the rest of them. Like they're all interconnected.
Yeah, so like how the nighttime routine feeds into the morning routine, which then feeds into the daily routines.
Yeah, and then the afternoon routine is where I put most of my cleaning and stuff. But if you are interested in the routine specifically, we have a considerable amount of YouTube videos on it, so go and check us out there. Like we go into each routine separately, and I've even got a playlist on there that is a full month of following the entire routine.
For Fly Lady, I think
For Fly Lady,
mostly that one. But as we said, we like to change things up quite a lot, so like it doesn't surprise me when we were doing Fly Lady, now we're doing She, which is
Sidetracked Home
Executive, and now we're moving into blending them both, and we've done plenty of other routines as well. And it's always interesting, like some of the people that we watch when they come up with their routines, and
yeah, we take a lot of inspiration as well.
And I think one day, like we've got it in the back of our minds to come up with one ourselves as well. And
you've got to keep me still in one routine for a little bit at some point, and that's very difficult to do.
So we've got an idea for a routine that we might come up with and try at some point as well.
Yeah, but the reason I changed and shift those routines, because I can't put it any other way, that I get bored. If I am doing the same routine day after day, month after month, I become a little bit stir crazy, so I have to find a way of shifting it and changing it.
Yeah, it's almost like you have ADHD.
So that is where they shift and change. It's like I've been doing Fly Lady for quite a while, and my brain's gone, I don't want to do this anymore. So I am still doing Fly Lady. I'm just blending it and trying different approaches.
You're making it novel.
I'm making it novel for myself.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing, as a main homemaker, it could be very easy to get into a rut of the same day after day, because the laundry always needs doing, the dishes are always piling up, the floor is never complete. It is. You clean it and then half an hour later it needs doing again. Like that's one of the things with homemaking, is you are never finished.
Oh,
you can never get to the end of the day and go, oh, I've finished now.
Yeah, I never have to do that ever again. Like, it's relentless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So routines help with that, because it keeps me on track, it keeps me on schedule. It means that everything gets done and nothing gets missed. But also I can shift and change and make it interesting for myself.
And for me, it helps me know where you need help. You can delegate specific tasks to me that then I manage myself within my routines and within my responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so having it all routined and laid out and scheduled and set means that we can share much easier. Because everything is not necessarily vocalised or written down, everything is communicated in some way, because the only way you can have a routine is to make explicit what needs doing.
Yeah, what needs doing, on what time schedule, on what how many times you repeat it. All of these things are things to take into account. But that kind of does lead us on to how that introducing those routines has made our life actually simpler and easier and more comfortable. Because for me, I'll start, it feels like it has. Like, I'm a lot less stressed.
I will agree with that. We definitely do more cleaning.
We do so much more cleaning. I have never cleaned so much in my entire life, which might explain why I wasn't very good at it before.
So we do more, but we also spend a lot more time thinking about it, and a lot more time planning it. And a lot more time discussing it and communicating it.
Now, part of that's down to the fact that we have a YouTube channel, which is based around homemaking, so of course we discuss it more than the average person. But on the whole, like, that feeling I was talking about earlier, where you're never finished and that there's always something more to do. It's taken a lot of stress out of that in particular, because everything has a schedule, everything has a time that you're meant to do it. It means that you can sit down and go, aha, that needs doing, but that's okay, because that's scheduled in to do tomorrow. I don't have to worry about it right now. I can sit down and enjoy my cup of tea.
Yeah, it takes that guilt out of the relaxing.
Yeah, like, it means your free time is your free time.
You can actually relax. Yeah,
allegedly.
And I really like not feeling like I'm firefighting.
Yes.
Like that. You're not constantly looking for something that needs doing.
Yeah, you know that it's going to be done, or it has been done. Or, yeah. So it doesn't matter. Like, if I get to the end of the day and the floor is hairy again, because pets, it's okay, because I know I've swept it that day. I don't need to do it again, not unless it's really bad. And I know I'm also going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that will pick up that issue, and it's not going to get to the point where it is unbearably difficult to do. Which is the other thing that routines has simplified for us, is that things are not overwhelming anymore. We just don't get the same mess that we used to. Like, everything's much tidier all of the time, and we don't have those times where we have to do massive deep cleans because everything's filthy.
Yes.
No, because it never is.
So I think for me, having these routines has really almost allowed me to be more intentional and more mindful day to day. So I know what to expect from the day. I know what does and doesn't need doing. And it is almost like that knowing what doesn't need doing is just as important as knowing what does need doing.
Yeah, I think for me it's allowed me to kind of slow down a little, and I don't have to do everything at 100 miles per hour, because everything is scheduled, everything is in theory written down and has its time and place. It means I don't have to rush. I can enjoy life, I can enjoy our home, I can relax in it.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point, is because we do it very written and task based. So the tools that we use are very physical.
Yeah.
Like, we literally write things down. We get it all out of our heads. And for us that works very well, because we can empty our heads. We don't have to constantly have that routine going round in our minds.
Yeah.
Especially as I would then be verbal with it, and then you would probably murder me. Writing your routines down, life-saving.
Yeah, we do write them down. We have very physical approaches to it. Like, we literally have a card box with tasks in.
Yeah, and then I take those tasks and write in my bullet journal, and that's how I manage my personal tasks.
Yeah.
And again, it's by having those diaries, journals, task lists, books, by just getting out our heads, that makes me so much less stressed.
Yeah, it means you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not having to maintain short-term memory.
Yeah, you're not having to maintain that to-do list that's constantly, and especially as it's a to-do list that's never finished. It's
Oh yeah, so then you have to manage, you mentally manage like 3 to-do lists that are always moving across on what you've just done, what you need to do, and what's coming up. Like, and again, there's so many different ways that people do. Like, you can use like the Kanban method for this.
There's a lot of tools.
There's a lot of tools out there
and techniques that you can use.
Yeah.
We found the ones that work for us, which is we do have a control journal, which is a Fly Lady thing, and we do have an index card box, which is a sidetracked home executive thing, and we also have bullet journals, which is a bullet journal thing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of planners, but we are planner addicts, so that's fine.
Yeah, there is that. And some people are more visual with it. And so there's other tools and techniques out there that would work for different people in different ways.
As with most things, the key is finding the way that works for you, and not worrying about how other people do it. If you can take inspiration from how someone else does it and it works, that's great. But don't worry if it doesn't. You're not failing because someone else's method didn't work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You just need to find the one that works for you. That's it.
And I think that's actually something that's consistent with all the methods we've read and tried. So every single one of them says, tailor this, make this work for you. And that's again something that when you tried Fly Lady the first time round was something that you didn't do.
Yeah, the first time I tried it many years ago, I didn't tailor it. I thought if I wasn't doing it precisely as it was written down on the website, I was failing and there was no point. Whereas this time round, I am very much flexible. Like, my Fly Lady routine looks nothing like the original Fly Lady routine at this point.
No.
The framework is still the same, but the actual tasks and when I do them are nothing like.
Yeah. And then we support that with a lot of communication between us, that flexibility, plenty of delegation. That constant communication of, like I say, like, some days you will wake up and you are not capable of cleaning that day.
Yeah, some days I can't.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, that's life, that's how it works. What normally happens is I shift those to a different day, or I'll get you to do a couple of them.
Yeah.
If it's something that has to be done, then you'll step in. If it's stuff that can be moved, then we'll just move it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that balance of routine, but also, yeah, like, as someone with autism, like, that can sometimes be a struggle of, like, routine and things when you're expecting, but then also part of that expectation is it could move and shift. And that's a bit of flexibility I've had to learn and train myself to be more accepting of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But anyway, that is our thoughts on how we simplified our lives. It has really, really simplified our life and made it a lot less stressful.
I'd say the most important part of the routine for us is that morning and evening routine.
Yes, that's the thing that has reduced the most amount of stress.
Yeah.
The rest you can leave for a bit if you don't want to, if you're not in a state where you can do those things. But the morning and the routine, they are fundamental, and if we skip those, our whole life falls apart.
I think identifying which tasks are non-negotiables, I think is a benefit within that. Like, so not all routine is equal.
No, it's not. So for us, our non-negotiables are emptying and filling the dishwasher first thing and last thing in the day. And then other things like walking the dog and laying out our clothes and just doing a quick tidy up in the evening. Those are our non-negotiables. The rest is flexible. But yeah, that is how we simplified our life.
That is, and I'm very glad of it.
And we will continue to simplify our life by making it more complicated with more routines.
The irony is we simplified our life by making it more complicated.
Yes. That sounds exactly like us.
It does sound just like us.
But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found this useful, and that if you did, then it would be great if you either subscribed to us on YouTube or followed this on whatever podcast app you're using. We have so many more homemaking thoughts coming up, and I cannot wait to have those conversations with you. Once again, thank you, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.